What is going on? It is Friday, which means that I'm talking about the comics that I am most anticipated for that are coming out February 16th, 2022, and I'll get to those right after this. My most anticipated comics for February 16th, 2022. All right, for those of you who have returned to this segment, this is where I talk about where I get my information from. So I use League of Comic Geek. They are a website that I find pretty good. Usually what you can do is you can scroll through and see what there's on. You can set up your pull list. But the one thing that I always say is that League of Comic Geek occasionally has an issue where they might not have certain things that are coming out, or things might be listed as coming out that aren't. Like Rad Wraith, for example, is a scout book that is not actually coming out, but they show it here. So there are chances that I may tell you some information that is not accurate, but that's not because I am not interested in bringing you information. It's just the site that I use sometimes does not have everything up to date. There are also paper shortages and delays where certain things are going to come out a little bit later. But I like to leave that preface there just so that when you are looking at your shop, there are chances that maybe these books do not come in. Another thing I like to say is that if you're here for the first time, I do a giveaway at the end of the month for everyone who comes by and watches these videos. If we end up getting 15 comments on these videos, I will add in an extra book. Usually the winner, I usually ask them what kind of stuff they're into, and I try and cater extra books that are stuff that I'm either not interested in or something that I might really like but have 4 issues of, and here's a run of something I think you might enjoy. I try to add to that to just spread the love of comics. So if you haven't already, please go back and like the other 2 videos from this week. I don't think last week's video got to 15 comments yet, but hey, we still have time. For those of you who have been here since the creation of this, I've been adding in small segments here and there, and this is a new one, and it is called the Spec Recommendation for this week's New Comic Book Day. There are 2 that I want to talk about, but I'm really only decide on one. The first 2 that I'm talking about is the 1 in 25 for Thor 20. Second print is the first cover appearance of the God of Hammer, and I know that the 1 in 50 Timeless number 1 has another cover with Miss Minute on it. This one is black and white. I don't love second printings, but the Miss Minute cover got super hot. And the God of Hammer is a new character, and it is a first cover appearance. So if your shop has those at decent prices, they might be worth checking out. But the one book that I do want to talk about for my spec recommendation of the week is going to be Iron Fist number 1. This is the first appearance of Iron Fist, a new version of the hero whose powers are questionable in its origin, as it's whether it came from the Dragon of Kunlun or elsewhere. So I don't know, maybe this could be big, maybe this couldn't be. Once again, it's all spec, but new characters in an existing character role sometimes take a lot. Look at Miles Morales. Let's look at Miss Marvel. There's a lot of characters that have taken over the mantle, and their first appearances have really shot up. So this could be one that if you have the opportunity to grab one copy off the shelf, it might be worth it. So we have 5 total X-Gwen variants this week. The first one we have comes out on X-Men number 8, and I'm pretty sure she's dressed up as Jubilee here. I could be wrong. If you think I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments, but I'm pretty sure this is Jubilee. The next one we have is Thor number 22, where Gwen is dressed up as Angel. The next one is Venom number 5. We have a Dazzler cover on this one. Next up, we have Iron Fist number 1, which I already talked about, but here she's dressed up as Domino. And the final one from this week is Hulk number 4, where she is dressed up as Rogue. This one was super hard. There were definitely 3 of them that I liked more than all of them, but I might have to give it to, I really want to pick that Domino one. I think overall the Hulk number 4 Rogue variant is probably my favorite of all of the ones that there are. Let me know. I should have shown them all, so let me know which one you think is the best of the X-Gwen variants. And did you pick any of these up, or are you not as crazy as me and just picking up 5 variants because it has a character that your daughter likes? So I did this last week, and I figured I'd do it again this week. But let's get into the comics finally. There are 2 books I just want a quick highlight because I'm not going to talk about these because I definitely talk about them every single time that this video drops. The first one is Crimson Cage, number 3. This is professional or small amateur wrestling mixed with Macbeth and horror. It's from John Lees and Alex Cormack. It's released on AWA Upshot. If that sounds appealing to you, make sure to grab it. It is on issue 3. The next one is The Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 5. This book does something so great. It is so slow moving, and Rick Remender does such an amazing job just like creating a story that has very minimal dialogue. And Andre Lima Araju, sorry, I definitely butchered that, but they do a very awesome job of making this book really tell a story with using minimal dialogue. Both of these books are always first reads for me, and I think you should check them out if you haven't already. But the first book we're talking is going to be Nightwing 89. Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo have done such a great job on this book, and this one is also taking Superman, Son of Kal-El, and bringing them together. So I'm excited to kind of see these two get together and have a story telling. I think Tom Taylor has done an excellent job on both of these. While the Fear State stuff the Fear State stuff was good. It was the best stuff that came out of Fear State, but it was still part of Fear State. So I'm excited for Nightwing to get back. That last issue was fun and it did a lot of cool things, but I'm excited for this to get back in the storytelling and see what Tom Taylor can do and really kick off this Nightwing run, because I've been enjoying it. It was one of those books where I missed out on the first issue. I ended up getting it because of a shop in Chicago. It is called Gem Comics. So if you're ever in the Chicago area, make sure to check them out. The owner there and I was talking about it, and I was like, oh, you don't happen to have that first issue? And he's like, I've been saving it for an out-of-towner that has recently been asking for it. So yeah, but I'm glad I picked it up because this has been an amazing book. And if you're not checking out Nightwing, I'm sure that there's every member of the community that reads DC books would probably tell you that it is a book that you should be reading. And if they don't, I'd like to hear why you don't think we should be reading Nightwing. The next book is a book that probably should have been in the first segment right before Nightwing, where I talked about books that I'm going to talk about every time, because this is a book that I'm going to talk about all the time, and it's What's the Furthest Place from Here, number 4. It is written by Matthew Rosenberg, artist Tyler Boss, who, if you've not heard of Tyler Boss, he did a book called Dead Dog's Bite, which was my personal favorite book of 2021, and this book has been so much fun for me. It is from Image Comics, and it's just this kind of like coming to age story. You know, it's kind of like The Warriors meets like, who knows, it's just this group of kids who lose a friend and they're trying to find her, but where is she? Who knows? She's pregnant. She's the first one to get pregnant, and there's a lot of weird things. I feel like every issue does enough to sort of answer a little bit of questions without really answering any questions. And while that might not sound appealing to some people, that is the kind of storytelling that I really like. And I think when Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss are together on these type of stories, they do an extremely amazing job of knocking it out of the park and delivering something that seems almost hand catered to me. One thing I've been loving about this book is that it does come out with special vinyls for them, which is something I also collect, and why I have not received them yet. I have all of the first 4 issues and vinyls pre-ordered, so I'm excited to give them a spin. The next book up on this list is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, number 8. This is the final issue from Tom King, and I'm definitely going to murder this one, but Bilquis Everly, that might be right, that might be wrong. If you can somehow pronounce it down below, let me know. But the art in this book has been fantastic. I personally love Tom King, and I think he is a fantastic writer. And while he is not for everyone, I think Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is a book that I think might be a little bit more for the masses on him. It deals with, Supergirl turning 21 and wanting to just go out and get drunk, and she gets pulled into this mission. It's got some like kind of Conan vibes to it, and it is the final conclusion to what I think has been a very fun run. I know a lot of people have really enjoyed this book, and it is, it's got the $4.99 price tag, which is kind of a bummer sometimes, but I would say if you did not pick this up and you do enjoy Tom King, at least some of his stuff, this is a book you should probably pick up and trade and give a read. And now we're to the point of this segment where I start getting into number ones. And the first book I'm talking about is Rain, number 2. And you're thinking, what? That's not a number 1. But I did not put book number 1 on here. I ended up picking it up because I saw a lot of people were talking about it. This is written by Joe Hill, and it was a fantastic first issue. I really enjoyed it. It kind of sets up the story that I think issue 2 is really going to dive into what actually happens in this. So I don't really know. It has to deal with, spikes flying from the sky, and or I guess spikes raining from the sky. And I really enjoyed this first issue. The art is very solid, and I think that, if you were to check it out, I think it's Zoe Thorogood. I think you'd really like it. The covers kind of show the type of art that you're going to get in this book, but this was something to me that was very compelling on that first issue. And while this was definitely not a first issue, I think this issue is kind of going to set up the actual story, but you should still go back and find that first issue to read. I would guess with Joe Hill being the writer, there is a good chance that your shop definitely has an extra copy on the shelf, but I could be wrong. And this is the final issue, and it is a true number 1. And the one thing that's going to be kind of weird about this is I think this is going to be the first Triple Crown winner of this segment, but it is going to be Iron Fist, number 1. This is from writer Alyssa Wong and artist Michael YG. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I'm sorry for that. But I love the domino cover. I didn't necessarily pick it for number 1, but I still really like it as I'm looking at it now. And I picked this up for my spec recommendation. I think this book is going to be pretty fun. I like Iron Fist. I did not love I think I like the show more than most people do, but this is about a new Iron Fist taking over for Danny Rand. I think it's a cool concept. I'd like to see what happens with it. And hey, we could have a new character. This could be an issue that could maybe possibly blow up and become something big. So let me know what your thoughts on Iron Fist are. Are you going to check out this number 1, or do you think I'm crazy for putting it up for almost everything that has to be offered for today? So those were my most anticipated comics for New Comic Book Day, February 16th, 2022. Let me know what your most anticipated comic is. I sometimes might not see everything that you're seeing. I love to hear what other people are going out and getting. Is there a number 1 you think I missed and you think I should still check out? I would love to know down below. Is there a variant cover that you really like or you're stoked for? And hey, do you have a spec recommendation that might be better than the spec recommendation that I just recently gave? I think that this has been a lot of fun, and I am glad that all of you have been here to watch these with me. So thank you so much. And if you haven't, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And please leave a comment so you can be entered in the giveaway at the end of the month. I did not say this at the beginning of the video, but I have kind of added into these new rules that it will be, you must be 18 and older or get a parent to approve of me sending these, just because I know that I sent books like Saga that are definitely not appropriate for some people, but it is a book I like and I want to send. The second is that you should live in the United States, or at least, I'll cover $15 for shipping. And the final is just leave a comment down below. And that's it, pretty easy. So once again, these were my most anticipated comics. Let me know if you think I'm right, wrong, or whatever. But thanks. I'm Cole. This is ending very weird, but as always, peace. My most anticipated comics for February 16th, 2022.